Hello, everyone, and welcome to Online Presenters of Virtual Advanced Toastmasters Club, where we accelerate communications and our leadership skills. I'm Dr. Sunny, and I hope that you're prepared, guest. We're certainly glad that you are here because we're going to be talking about how communication affects every part of our life and how we connect with each other and probably how we resolve conflict and support emotional well-being. So we're delighted that you're here this evening. Just wanted you to know that if you're interested in becoming a member, Online Presenters is open to current or former Toastmasters who have completed at least 6 speeches. And if you're an experienced presenter, you may also apply after delivering a short demonstration speech. All applications are subject to approval by our club members. And the Vice President of Membership is Allison Blakeman. Also, just wanted to let you know that we are a global club with members joining from many countries around the world. Please be mindful of language and cultural sensitivity. We support one another's growth as communicators and leaders, and having so many different voices at the table is a blessing. A few housekeeping notes. This meeting is being recorded. If you prefer tonight not to be included, please check the chat for opt-out instructions. And finally, kindly mute your microphone when you're not speaking. So let's get ready to start a wonderful meeting and conversation. Please help me welcome to the virtual stage our club president, Joni Laidlaw. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Sunny. Mental health. Today, we're going to end the stigma. Now, it's really important that you have somewhere to share, to talk, and Toastmasters actually does provide that level of camaraderie. Think about it. Have you ever been preparing a speech, and as you go through, you realize that you're processing through those emotions? Well, today we're going to have a special meeting because it's Mental Health Month. We have a special guest presenter. We have special table topics. This is going to be our talking stick. For those persons who've been in therapy, they know there's a stick. Everybody gets their turn. Well, we're going to do that for table topics. But today, the person who will be leading us through this special meeting will be Andriy Smolenko. Now, he is actually the catalyst for it because he won a presentation as it relates to mental health. And we thought, you know what? This is a great topic and it's time to end the stigma. Without further ado, please help me welcome the person who will be taking us through this special meeting, our Toastmaster of the day, Andriy Smolenko.
Thank you very much, Joni. Thank you very much, our club presidents. My fellow online presenters, guests, welcome. Welcome to the slightly unusual online presenters meeting. It's educational feature where we will discuss the subjects of mental health, and most importantly, the subject of communication regarding the mental health. We touch on stigmas surrounding this question from many countries around the world, because we have members and guests from USA, Jamaica, United Kingdom, Australia. We have people from China, Malaysia, and probably from many other countries around the world. Just if you could make my life as a Toastmaster of the day a little bit easier, please put in the chat the country you are calling from today. Or say you are national of a country, then you want to put in. So let's see how many people from different places we have. I can see Australia, USA, people from India as well. Then we have another Australia. Looks like Australia winning, surprising. Canada, USA, Canada, Hong Kong. And the messages are still coming. Well, thank you. Yeah, that is what I thought. USA probably would win slightly by a little margin. Overall, when I was thinking about this subject, quite a touchy subject that not many Toastmasters Club would like to talk about. We want to be happy, successful, or at least learn how to be those people. In my personal journey, I've encountered a number of problems, and some of them resulted in me joining a club. It's the men's group, men mental health group, where we meet up on a regular basis once a week, and we talk amongst ourselves about what's been going on good in our life and what we want to get off the chest. And it really, really works for me. And how it works for me, I think, demonstrate by pressing the slide. Is one of the children of our members just made it notes that my dad goes to Andy's Men's Club, this organization, for 2 hours every Monday, and he likes it because it helps keep my dad safe. Because it keeps my dad safe. Those are quite important words. But then on my journey, on my research, I find out that it's actually from a well-reputed newspaper in the UK, the Daily Telegraph. Around 64% of UK teenagers are projected to suffer from a mental or behavioral disorder by 2030. And prediction, well, it's a calculation, to be precise, has been done by Zurich Insurance, reputable insurance company that already planning in advance for those substantial changes in the UK and I believe in the world society. So what is mental health as such? What exactly are we talking about? According to the World Health Organization, mental health is the state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how you think, how you feel, and act, determining how you handle stress, relate to others, and make choices in life. So, in my understanding, what I would like us to focus on is just a few things. Thing number one is stigmas attaching mental health around the world, something that we came across personally. Number two, what's our personal experience of overcoming those stigmas? What we can get, what the message we can get by learning the lessons we go through life. And through that journey today, we will have a meeting, of course. First, a panel discussion. We have 5 panelists, people with their experiences, with their problems and solutions they're going to share. The next part of the meeting, we have a special guest who is going to treat us to a special presentation about a therapy, group therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. I will introduce Pebe properly as well. And then in the end, to wrap it up, we will have a table topics discussion, similar to what we're all used to in Toastmasters, at the same time with a slight twist. And then hopefully we will wrap up feeling better, much, much better than we felt before this meeting. I will not be conducting this meeting by myself. I will use a number of people who volunteer to help to make sure this meeting runs nicely and smoothly. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce the really, I would say, very important person for this meeting, who is our timer, Jenny Ayala. Jenny, would you like to unmute yourself and briefly introduce your role, please?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Toastmasters, I will be the timer for all the presentations and the open panel, and it will be for the main presentation. It will be green in 10 minutes, 13 minutes yellow, and 15 minutes red. And for the panel discussion, it will be 25 minutes green, 30 minutes yellow, and 35 minutes red. Back to you, Mr. Toastmasters.
Thank you, Jenny. Just to confirm, will you be able to show those colors, or how will you see them?
Yes, I will be at my background in green for the 25 minutes for panel discussion, and then the yellow for 30 minutes. And finally, the red one, it's for the maximum time, 35 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes, so the traffic light works really well. The next helper, a very important person, I'm going to call this virtual stage, is our watcher, Seema Dillon. Seema, would you like to introduce your role, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Simmer. So I will be serving as the watcher of today's meeting. I will be observing the flow of communication, participation, and overall engagement throughout our discussion on very important topic, mental health and communication. Looking forward to learning from everyone's perspective today. Back to you, Sir Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Seema, for that presentation. Just a little note to our timer, Jenny. Jenny, would you like to raise your virtual hand? That will place you in the top left corner of the screen, so we can all see better when you place different colors on your background. Thank you. The next helper I'm going to introduce is our chat monitor, Annie Martin, TTM. Annie, please brief us about your role.
Thank you very much, Andre. Yes, I will be looking at the chat, but I'll be doing this with a lens to my role later in the meeting, which will be which I will explain later on. But so if things come up in the meeting and I see something, I may well incorporate that into my role, which is along the lines of table topics, but slightly differently. So I've already had somebody saying that they're keen to be included in that. That's fine. So I will be looking and seeing how I can weave in elements of this meeting to our future session where we all get a chance to speak if we would like. Thank you very much, Andre.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that concise introduction, Annie. Right, I think I've introduced most of the very important people who will be assisting me throughout the meeting. And I would like to start with our panelists. Let me start with the panelists. They're not going in any particular order of like or dislike. It's just I picked that order. But I would like to start with introducing panelist number one is Johnny Laidlaw. Johnny Laidlaw is our club president. Johnny has been Toastmaster since 2019. She believes in power of verbal therapy. Her years of experience in Toastmasters has allowed her to witness the transformation power of speech therapy, a phrase she coined with a fellow Toastmaster to demonstrate the healing effects that preparing and writing a speech on a topic can yield. Her personal life and personal neurodiverse and special interest includes technology, Toastmasters, human interactions, and human psychology. If asked, she will say Toastmasters has a project for that all. Johnny, just a quick question in up to 1 minute, quick fire. Really, can you hear me first?
I can hear you, I can see you, but for some reason, it doesn't want you to see me. So I'm here.
Okay, we'll just give it a go. Just a quick fire. In terms of mental health, what mental health is for you?
Mental health for me covers a lot of things, but basically it's how your mind is processing or working at any given time during the course of your existence. That's your mental health.
Got it. Well, thank you very much for this brief interaction. Thanks, Johnny. The second panelist I would like to introduce is our honored guest. Our honored guest is Phoebe Pendon, a two-time distinguished Toastmaster. Phoebe Pendon are an RPSY PhD candidate and then Fellow of American Association of Cardiovascular and Pulmonary Rehabilitation, with Toastmaster Club membership in 5 districts and over 30 years of experience as a clinical psychologist, registered nurse, and counselor in health, wellness, and rehabilitation. She has assisted nurses, patients, athletes, and veterans towards resilience and recovery. Today, Phoebe will be sharing insights on mental health, communication, and group therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder, showing how small changes can lead to big impact in healing and connection. Phoebe, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege for me to learn with you today and for me to be able to listen and to feel and think with you on how we can progress towards recovery. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Toastmaster Andre.
Just very briefly, in few words, how would you describe mental health for you? What is that?
For me, mental health is the core of our all well-being. Without mental health, we can think that we are whole as a person. And it is very important that our mental health is taken care of towards that well-being for us to be able to think through of our lives and live our lives to the fullest, physically, psychologically, mentally, and spiritually. We journey together towards wholeness. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster Andre.
Thank you very much, Phoebe. Really, really appreciate that an opening, that you really open about that, what you think about mental health. And panelist number three, Graham Carnes. Graham is an accomplished speaker, a distinguished Toastmaster, and a journalist and mentor for 40 years prior to his retirement. Graham, just over a year ago, won his Toastmasters District International Speech Contest with a confronting presentation about surviving sexual abuse as a young teen and how his failure to deal with that may have contributed to the death of a young boy and almost destroyed his career. Graham, welcome to the panel.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you for inviting me.
In a few words, what is the mental health for you?
Others have defined what mental health means, and obviously mental health is maintaining balance. Oh, my son is calling. I have no idea why. But I rather than actually answer that question, I want to, if I may, talk to you very briefly about my mantra regarding mental health, and that is that we face a whole lot of life's lessons, but we should let life's lessons refine who we become rather than letting those life lessons define who we are. I might talk about that a little later if we get the opportunity, but for me, mental health is about refining who we are rather than defining who we become, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly does. Oh, thank you. It's really helpful, Graham. The next panelist I would like to call on this virtual stage is Alison Blakeman. Ali Blakeman, a person who knows firsthand the emotional and mental battles that life can throw at us. Ali, what is mental health for you?
What is mental health for me, Andre? Mental health is taking care of ourselves. We go to the doctor when we have a physical ailment, we have a cold, sinus infection, earache, broken bone. Mental health is taking care of the inside. It's taking care of our soul and our spirit and keeping it well nourished and healthy. That's what it means to me, Andre.
Wow, thank you, Ali. Straight to the point, concise description, exactly what we need. And the next panelist I'm going to call on the stage is Carrie Kong. Carrie was born and raised in Hong Kong, and as a vivid advocate of both physical and mental health, she has over 8 years of experience in banking and investment management. She holds an MBA from the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. She enjoys mentorship and leadership and is also an active member of the Toastmasters Club. Honoring her communication and public speaking skills, she is going to talk about the Chinese approach to mental health and restores emotional balance by combining mind-body exercise like Tai Chi, for example, and Qigong with physical treatments like acupuncture and herbal formulas to regulate the body's energy. Carrie, welcome to the panel discussion about mental health. And what is mental health for you?
Thank you, Toastmaster Jay, Andre. For me, mental health, for me, is not an isolated entity. I'm going to illustrate a little bit more into the Chinese way of how to manage mental health, as you can see from my background. Qi, right? We have the yin and yang. So it means that it's not only by yourself of your physical body, but you yourself is an ecosystem. It connects your physical body to your mental health, to the relationships, to your social circle. So true mental health is not only fighting the symptoms, but also how to restore yourself into like a full, energized person with smooth circulation and harmony with the nature. So I can definitely share a little bit more about some tips. I'm not an expert into every single field, like acupuncture, not an expert into any of these, but definitely would like to share more with you all. Back to you, Andre.
Thank you very much for this introduction. Okay, really, really curious to learn about all that. Hopefully we have enough time. We got to make time for that. Thank you. And I prepared a number of questions in regards to the mental health and communication for our experts. It's just a little note to the timer. When I ask the question to the panelists, please, it's as a guidance, the answers of the panelists should be timed between, I would say, 1 to 2 minutes. Of course, I just don't really want to structure someone's answer when they really want to share something amazing, incredible, and how they feel their stories. But at the same time, please bear in mind, just a guidance, simple table topics or, slightly more time. And to start the conversation going, I would like to ask the question number 1. Please look at the slides, this picture. Probably, I hope you can all see it well. What it says is a sign on the street: don't ruin a good today by thinking about a bad yesterday. Let it go. So how does it make you feel by looking at that sign? So when you look at it, what do you feel? I would like to ask our first panelist is Alison. Ali,
how does it make me feel? Don't let yesterday ruin today. It's great advice, Andre, and it's something that you can't obtain and achieve in just reading the sign and thinking about it. You have to put it into practice. Don't ruin a good today by thinking about yesterday. you have to look at the future, and you have to think in a positive mindset and focus on today and look at the good things. It kind of reminds me of when you're riding or driving in an automobile. I shared this with someone years ago when they were hung up on their past, Andre, that they kept talking about things that people did to them in the past and the future. And I wrote them a heartfelt note. And I said, you can't go forward looking in the rearview mirror. And that impacted them. And I gave examples that they talked about what an ex did to me, my ex did this, my ex did that. And they struggled with why they couldn't get positive things happening in their life. And when I told them that, it transformed them. And they started looking at the future and the positive. But it's something that we have to practice every day. And I would think that would be a great sticker to put on our computers or somewhere on our refrigerator to remind us not to let yesterday ruin today and tomorrow. Back to you, Andre.
Thank you very much, Harry. What an answer. Graham, what do you think about the picture? What relation has it got to you?
I think the philosophy is fine, but it ignores the fact that we have to deal with yesterday before we can move on to today. I mentioned earlier that I had been a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. Well, young teen sexual abuse. I was abused by a minister, a priest, a Baptist minister in a youth camp that I was involved in. I didn't realize until many years later that I hadn't actually dealt with that. I behaved in some unsafe behaviors as a teen, largely as a result of that. When I was covering a coronial inquest into the particularly violent murders of young men and boys in South Australia, I covered that coronial inquest, getting the most prurient details because I didn't realize that I hadn't dealt with the baggage that I was carrying. And so I was reporting on this thinking I was doing the right thing, the net result of which was that a young boy died after two mentally deficient brothers decided that they wanted to see what it was like to do some of the things that I was reporting on. I had to deal with both of those traumas, but I had to deal with the first one before I could deal with the second one, if that makes sense. I couldn't just ignore what had gone in my background. I had to deal with that. And I then, as I say, came up with a philosophy by which I now live my life. And that is, I'm going to let those life's lessons refine who I become rather than define who I am. So I agree with the philosophy that you can't keep looking back to yesterday and ruining today. But I also think you have to deal with yesterday before you can move into today. Once you deal, then you're ready to put that behind you and move on. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think it does certainly make sense to me, Graham. Thank you. We need to deal with what happened in the past before we can move on. And that's the message I'm getting. Thank you. Our guest, Febe, what do you think about that sign, about the importance of dealing or not letting what happened in the past ruining your day-to-day?
This quote reminded me of the biblical mandate, do not let the sun go down on your anger. Recently, I was nominated to be a club growth director in the district level. I didn't want to take it because I was traveling out of the country and I barely have 1 month to go for the campaign. But the division was very strong about their conviction to nominate me. From day one, after a week or so, and every time I would say, I will back out, I will back out, I will back out. Yet the push was very strong that I came to a point that I decided finally with my whole heart to run for the club growth director position. As a result, I lost the campaign against somebody who is known to be an establishment candidate who has been campaigning for 3 to 6 years or so, declaring his plan to be a club growth director. I was aware of it, and I was aware of the failure. Yet I moved on. In the end, I lost. I could have easily gone down, dismayed, frustrated, and reacted with anger. But all I got was a peace of mind. I was clear in my mind that I was there for a purpose. And guess what happened? As a result, on that same day of losing, I won two things. A proposal for me to be a consultant in big companies, and for me to be a part of the training team for Japan. How could that have happened? So it helped me regain my composure, and I was smiling all along. And all I got was congratulations. And they said that it was a show of my character. That helped me to go down and feel the stress of losing and rested. The peak performance there just calmed me down, and I'm up again for more ventures that would come. How about you, my friends? How did you manage your failures? Did you allow it to affect your future? As for me, there are brighter and brilliant doors opening for me. As that door was closed, more doors were open for my future. Join me, my friends, for that purpose. Back to you, our Toastmaster of the day, Andre.
Thank you very much, Febe. Thank you for what you just revealed, what you shared with us. I felt the journey. I was on the journey with you. It does make sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie Hong, I would like to ask the same question to you as well about what can happen with our day if we think about the past, whether it's important to do something with the past, to live our life in the present.
Yes, thank you so much, Andre. When I graduated in my MBA years in 2023, it was a really, really difficult time for me to look for a job. So it's the same for every single graduate in the market nowadays. People who graduated from the undergrads, from the MBA schools, they can no longer find jobs. And then I was in a period of like looking at my professional career and thinking, I'm such a good student. I wasn't able to find jobs, and a lot of people, they gave me so many different rejections. And then I found a job, but then the boss was not the most ideal boss. He gave me sometimes like verbal abuse. Definitely, there are times that I will doubt in my ways of doing work. There are just so many times that I reflected about myself. I doubted about my own self-being. This job market was so difficult. And then people were struggling in finding their jobs. They were locked for a job that they didn't like, so that there were a lot of bosses, they didn't treat them really well. When I reflected about all these past, they wouldn't come to the carry nowadays because I would no longer be really looking for a real job that I'm really passionate about. The past, from the Confucius way, that everybody knows that you should learn, extract the lessons, honor the experience, use that wisdom to act rightly, to think about what in the interview, you've been doing something wrong. Maybe you can correct it. Maybe when you talk to people, you use the wrong languages. Maybe I could use a different way to talk to my boss. Use the past experiences as the pivot to think about what you can do right and better about the future. But don't stick to the past, otherwise you'll never be able to progress. Because nowadays, things change so fast. Everybody is different. AI hit us. Things are different right now. Don't stick to the past. This is my advice. Back to you, Andre.
Thank you very much, Carrie, for that advice. I'll certainly make a massive note of it. Johnny, what's your advice on the past and present? would be similar to our panelists, or you have something in your minds different to it?
I actually have a very different take, and for a very specific reason. I believe that sometimes we respond out of our trauma. And the person we were yesterday or the person we're today is actually shaped by the person that we were yesterday. Now, most people tend to want to forget the past, but the past creates your patterns. Now, always look at it like this. You'll do things repeatedly until it becomes a part of you. Now, something might happen, a catalyst, and you change, but that person from yesterday is actually still a part of you today. I saw something that said that when you are 10 years old, you're actually 9, 8, 7, all the way back. The past is an important part in how you're showing up, even for today. Now, a lot of people, because of healing, think, okay, we're going to forget about the past. And I don't believe that we should do that. I believe patterns are really, really important. Now, it's important to see the patterns of other people, but it's important to know your own, because that states your triggers and what will happen. And most of your triggers were either installed by your parents or something that happened to you in your past. And by forgetting it, then you're moving from a reactive place, meaning if I know that this is my trigger and I can say to you that if you do this, you are going to trigger me, I can mentally prepare you for what you are going to have to experience, because healing is not linear. It's not, okay, I got up today and I'm good.
Yes.
I will always have those triggers no matter what. So your past will always have a part to do with your future. The important thing is being self-aware enough, understanding them, know what you're working on, know what's there, and that's what will help you to navigate. What I believe in forgetting is all the hurt, the anguish, the this, the that we let go and we leave in the past. But how we respond and show up now, we take those lessons from the past into today to make us better people. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks. I knew you had a very, very different answer to the rest of the panelists. That's why I ask you was. Thanks. Moving on to the next question that I've been researching. I know we have a limited time, and the subject of mental health is vast. It affects us every day, it affects the people we live with every day, and so on. However, the mental health, in my view, is interconnected with the massive, big philosophical question of our life: is being happy, is the happiness. And then, of course, alchemists who come up with the different forms of how to be happy. For example, by following this simple and very effective scheme, you can find out, so if you're happy, yes, then, why should you worry? But if you happy, no, then try to do something about that. Try to change something in your life. And then if you can, excellent, you're happy. But if you cannot change anything in your life, then again, why would you worry about? And looking at this particular scheme, I would like to ask if you have your own personal recipe for being happy. Your personal recipe for happiness. And I would like to start in this way with our honorable guest, special guest, Faber Pendon.
Thank you very much, Andy, for that question. Guess what? When I retired from work, from one job to another, all I say was, my aim is to be happy. Simple as I thought it is, but it took a lot of challenges for one to be happy. I want to be happy, but how do I get to be happy? I learned to have various interests in my life so that I'm not cornered within the four walls of my home, four walls of my office. I have varied interests: painting. I did some watercolor painting. I did some yarn painting and frame it. I had been traveling for the past 40 years, and every travel symbolizes meaning to me, gives more life to me, makes me happy to meet a lot of people. And I have been into other interests. Now I'm into writing books and want it to be published. In essence, life is just giving us a lot of opportunities to enjoy, to be happy. But beneath this happiness, outward happiness that we have, there is that inner happiness. And how do I achieve it? I have my own personal meditation, devotion. I have a group of friends who I meet with, share my feelings, share what we've gone the week, and pray together. I have a daily prayer with and sharing and learning book club with my former classmates in nursing. Imagine we were meeting every day since COVID, when we were confronted with the greatest challenge in our world, in our lives individually, family, and in the world. That made us glue together. And even until now, we meet together and made our lives easier as we feel that we have a support group helping us to live our lives. So despite all the problems, the sickness we're meeting, and all the challenges that we were meeting, we've been able to feel a lighter feeling, a well-being that made us who we are right now. And for me, that is just one of the sources, many sources of happiness. And that made me grow as a whole person and keep growing as I meet you, meet my other friends, and I'm happy to get to know you, my friends. Thank you for adding happiness in my life. Thank you.
Thank you for adding happiness in our lives, Febe. Thank you for your recipe. Graham, what would be your recipe for happiness?
My recipe for happiness is to be happy. I mean, I know that's, a bit like, recursion, noun, see recursion in the dictionary. It doesn't actually answer anything. But my definition or my way of being happy is just to be happy. My philosophical background is the Christian one, and the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus famously said, each day has enough trouble of its own. Don't borrow from tomorrow. The Buddhist equivalent is first there was no mountain, then there is a mountain, then there isn't, then there is. Life changes. All we can do is adapt to those changes and be happy. I wake up happy as a pig in mud every morning because any day above ground has got to be a good one. I've had a life that is, yeah, it's not without its problems, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, and that is what makes me happy. I have a therapist who I talk to once a week who tries to keep me, mentally balanced, and that's great. I'm really happy. Veterans Affairs pays for that. One of the advantages of being a veteran in Australia. I have a daughter who has gone through a fair amount of therapy, and she passes on some of the stuff that she says to me. In fact, she said something the other day that I hadn't thought about. She said, anger never rides alone. It's always riding another emotion. Well, happiness is one of those few things I think that does ride alone. It carries itself. And so I try, don't always succeed, I will admit, but I try to be happy just because I am a happy soul. Probably doesn't help you, but it's the best I can offer.
Thank you, Graham. It does help, actually. It does help me. Really philosophical things. Well, thank you. Some food for thought. Ellie, what's your recipe for happiness?
My recipe for happiness, Andre, that is a great question, is movement, forward movement. One of the first keys that you gave when you opened this panel discussion was about stigma about mental health. I went through a hard time like Graham, had some challenges in my life. I went through a divorce, became a single parent, and started a new highly technical job. A friend of mine recommended that I see a talk therapist and said, I know there's stigma around it, but you're going through a lot more than what you think you are. And one of the things, meeting with the therapist that I saw for about 6, 7 years, was when I first met her, she asked me, who are you? Stopped me in my tracks. Whoa, nobody's ever asked me that. Who am I? After some deep reflection, I had no idea who I was. I broke down and cried. She said, you've got to go figure out who you are. And one of the things that I've taken on and figured out about happiness is never a destination. It's not a place that we arrive to. It's a daily path that we have to walk. And the first sign, bad day yesterday. One bad day doesn't create a bad life. My secret recipe to happiness is movement. I have a bad day, take a day or two to be down. It's okay. Just don't stay there. Keep moving forward. Find little things to do. Join a Toastmaster meeting, give a speech, help a friend, help somebody else, encourage somebody, listen to a podcast, volunteer. It's movement. We don't arrive at happiness. I like the little cartoon that floats around social media that it showed somebody walking and it was carrying a balloon that said happiness. And the person had a cloud over their head and said, where did you find, I love that. Where did you find that at? And the character responded, a bubble above his head said, well, thank you. I created my own. And that's the truth. What makes me happy is not going to make Joni happy. It's not going to make Carrie happy. You have to find what makes you happy, and it's movement. If you have a bad day, don't sit in your house or at your desk and ponder about it. Go for a walk. Get outside in the sunshine. That's my secret recipe for happiness, Andre. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali, for sharing your secret recipe. That I will, by the way, in Toastmasters, we routinely record our meetings, and the video recording will be available for everyone to see on our, I think, YouTube page and Facebook page. So everything that our panelists sharing today, in my view, is invaluable. And I'm just so honored to be a Toastmaster of the day and chair the panel discussion on this. So every piece of advice, personal stories is very, very important. So thank you for sharing that. At the same time, Johnny, what is your secret recipe for happiness?
Right, so you take some cheese and you mix it with a little bit of caffeine. Just everybody has different things that their brain chemicals work on. So I learned that early, that happiness, ironically enough, everybody goes, it's a feeling. No, it's stuff that's processed in your brain. With time, I learned, because I'm neurodivergent, so I have a very special kind of brain, that different chemicals do different things, right? So I ended up having to chase depending on what I need. So if my source of pain right now is because I'm feeling disconnected from people, disconnected from life, that means I need some oxytocin. I need somebody there who I know I love, ironically enough, not that loves me, that I love, that I can reach out to so I can get that feeling. That will bring me back to regulation. When it is that I have something to do and I need that hyper fixation and all the stuff that is there, it comes from wanting to. And it's a big reason why. And to everybody, yes, I know I am the taskmaster and I've volunteered everybody to do everything. But you know what? I volunteered you things that I know you love and you'll have a passion for. Why? Because those feel-good chemicals will be there. And if you want to do something and that desire is there, your body will automatically create it. Unlike when you don't want to do it, then your body going to go, I am not about this life, leave me alone. And you feel like you're just lugging along with life. So part of it is finding what you love and helping to use that to create your happiness. So my recipe for happiness, honestly, is actually finding what you love in every aspect. Because once you find what you love, that's going to make you happy. And love comes in a number of forms. Back to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Johnny. And of course, taking a little slice of something that you like, perhaps cheese, and then nicely spreading on it. my mom used to say that you can treat any disaster, anything that you're going through your life with a cup of tea. She's not far from it. By the way, our guests and members, who are watching us right now, we're trying to participate. So I would encourage you to just place your comments, just place how you feel about the discussion, how you feel about the subjects of happiness, or do we really need to do anything about our past, or we can just move on? So please use our chat extensively, and I'm sure our panelists will be able to respond to every single comment you place there. I think they would be happy to do that. Yeah, there we go. Works. Carrie, what is your secret recipe of happiness?
Thank you so much, Andre. I would like to introduce the 4 words in Taoism. You can see from the screen. 知足常乐, or you can say 知足常乐 in Cantonese. What does it mean is, it's a fundamental proverb saying that you can always want more and more and more, to pursue endless desires, status, money, material wealth, but you will never get enough. That will only create anxiety to you. But at the same time, happiness for me is founded on wanting less and less, simple, and accepting the present more than it is. So looking to my yin and yang, it's a balance. When you have more and more money, you have more and more happiness in like getting monetary wealthy life. But at the same time, you don't have that time to be with your family anymore. And then mentally, you'll be more stressed. I remember when I was being an investment banker, I worked 60, 70, 80, 90 hours per week, and I get a lot of money. You can definitely see that bonuses reflect on your paycheck, and you're so happy because I can buy a house. But at the same time, I was very traumatized. I got scolded. I was picked up at my Excel work, and then I worked big stress and everything. So to me, that wasn't satisfactory to me. You need to achieve the balance of yin and yang. Think about that, right? So yeah, you can pursue endless life and you can have a lot of things, but it doesn't satisfy you. Why? Because you need to achieve a balance. So happiness to me is, think about what I have right now. I have my family, I have my friends, and they are nice to me. If they are nice to me, that is what I want. This is happiness to me. We need to achieve a balance. 知足常乐, 知足常乐. Something that, from the Chinese way that I can teach you, and people are really obsessed with, like thinking about material life, but at the same time, reflect back to, what do I have right now? Am I really poor? Am I going to die the next day? No, I have enough. Back to you, Andre.
Carrie, you are a star. Well, thank you very much. I will try to learn it in Chinese or Cantonese in how you pronounce it, but I think to me it's got a really massive and important meaning. I'm really grateful. I'm really, really grateful to all our panelists. I have lots and lots of questions about other parts of mental health and our life that I would like to ask. At the same time, considering the online presenters meeting format and the timing is really, really crucial for us, I just would like to say thank you. Thank you for being here for us and sharing what you just shared with us. And I would like to let you go just for now, so we can focus on the next part of online presenters meeting. And the next part of our online presenters meeting will be a presentation from Phoebe Pendon, our special honorable guest. Today, she will share insights on mental health, communication, and group therapy for post-traumatic stress disorder, in brief PTSD, showing how small changes can lead to big impacts in healing and connection. Phoebe Pendon. Phoebe, I know that you asked me to share the slides for you. Is this something that you want me to do?
Yes, please. The Google Slides. No, the other one.
Okay.
Let's just proceed to the Google Slides because you don't have enough time. I have prepared 2 slides. So this one, the Google Slides will be simpler and it will be an overview because there's so much to share about PTSD. Thanks so much, Andre, for helping.
Just if you could give me a minute, because we have a little technical thing. I cannot
So while
share.
you're doing that, can I share a story?
Yes,
Yes.
just one sec. I cannot start sharing screen for some reason. I don't have the rights. If I could get the rights for sharing the screen, that would help, please.
Thank you.
You should be good, Andrew.
Can you see me now? I'm sharing the screen.
Yes.
Thank
Can we
you,
start?
Andre.
Yes, we're seeing it.
Yes.
Slide 1, please.
Oh, slide 1, sorry. Yes. We're on slide 1, ready to go.
Yes. I once experienced a very, very traumatic experience of major vehicular accident with 3 patients involved as a result of the injury I incurred, and 3 cars. That was so traumatic. As a practitioner in nursing and in psychology, that time all I thought was post-traumatic disorder were only experienced by those who have been through the war or my veterans who I was serving. Move on to the next piece. Then I learned that almost every one of us have experienced that stress disorder. It could be acute or it could be post, or it depends on our experiences. But through the years, I learned that we can overcome it and we don't have to linger in it. As Alison said, there is a need for movement. So today we will have to hear our voices of resilience as we look into ourselves and find out what we could do. Move on to the next, please. Let's have a little understanding of post-traumatic disorder. I know this is common, especially among those who have families, family members who have gone through the war, those who have gone through assault, victims of accidents, and so forth. Post-traumatic disorder is a trauma-related mental health disorder that develops after an exposure of such trauma. It is classified for professionals. We know this is under Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5, where we can find it under trauma and stress-related disorders. And the core factors are hyper-intrusion, that is intrusive memories, hyper-avoidance, we avoid things that are familiar related to the accidents or the trauma, and negative mood changes and hyper-arousal. It affects us cognitively, physically, and psychologically in all functioning. Next, please. We know that PTSD is widespread all over the world, 3.9%, and trauma exposed is 5.6%. In the US, 6.8% for a lifetime experience and 3.6% the past year. And the high risks are women, veterans, survivors of sexual violence and accidents, and so forth. Those are contributed by severity of the trauma. It all depends on what we've gone through. The lack of social support and repeated exposure. Next, please. We see that PTSD can be seen in 3 major symptoms that we manifest. Hyperintrusion, the intrusive memories of the experience we have had in the past, flashbacks, nightmares. Or we have that hyper avoidance. We don't want to go to places where we have experienced triggers and emotional numbing, that which would affect our feelings. The negative mode, guilt and shame or feeling detached. There could be hyperarousal. You're sleeping and then you're awakened. Or some patients have been triggered by New Year's celebration. All those fireworks, they thought they're in the war. Irritability and anger and sleep problems. Next, please. These are the symptoms being experienced by our patients. As I've said earlier, we have biological factors, social factors, and psychological factors that could affect an individual. There could be a dysregulation of stress hormones, overactive amygdala, underactive prefrontal cortex that is within the brain. A genetic predisposition, it depends on how the family has been able to manage problems they encounter. Social factors, lack of support, repeated exposure to violence, cultural stigma around mental health. And psychologically, we could be affected prior to trauma or childhood adversity that's repeated, can be so traumatic, or maladaptive coping mechanisms by ourselves and by family that we belong to. And the cognitive distortion, the guilt, and the self-blame. These are the factors that would lead to PTSD. Next, please. Then we realize that it's affecting us. So for professionals, and this may not be true to the ones who have not been into professional study, this is found in our Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5 when we see symptoms of exposure to actual trauma, intrusive symptoms, avoidance, negative mood disorders, and hyperarousal. Those are the major symptoms that we can diagnose a patient with PTSD. Next, please. So, knowing the etiological factors, we now then could look into the treatment, the interventions. And if we are, for professionals, we know this. But for us who may not be into this kind of scientific learning, we may look into the need for us to consult a professional so that we could be referred to the cognitive behavioral therapy where our thoughts are reframed and our behaviors. In the veterans, there's like a 12 session for those who are manifesting the symptoms. CBT in short. Just an overview what cognitive behavior therapy is. We just imagine a frame of painting that's so beautiful that you don't want to let go of it. And then you remove that old frame because it is so distracting and doesn't highlight the beauty of the painting, and change the frame into something beautiful that could enhance the beauty of the painting. It's reframing the thinking. So in PTSD, cognitive behavior therapy, where we reframe our thoughts, will help us to see a brighter future, just like what we talk about the past, present, and the future. We also have the eye movement desensitization and regeneration. So we can EMDR provided by professional practitioners. And maybe from our level, the group therapy can be done as well. In group therapy, We will discuss a little bit about that later, where there is a shared sharing, a duration of a month or so, depending on the need. And there is a need for a combination. As we have said earlier, one of the factors that could lead to PTSD would be biological factors, where there is an imbalance of neurotransmitters. So pharmacotherapy is needed. SSRI, the sertraline, anti-anxiety, and then sleep that will allow you to sleep. And then some narcotics are given to some patients when they are in pain. And the holistic approaches discussed by Carrie earlier, the mindfulness and relaxation, the social support and education, our faith and community brand mentioned earlier by PM Graham. It is a holistic approach for us to see positive results. Next, please. Because our journey to wholeness would involve a holistic approach. So for me as a practitioner, I use an eclectic approach, utilizing various theories to address the need of a particular person or a patient who is in need. So group therapy is one of those we've done in the past among ourselves as part of our training as psychologists. We are clients ourselves as classmates with the guidance of our professor, and we help each other through group therapy. So there is a reduced PTSD symptom as a result. Then you have improved emotional regulations. You're able to manage our emotions. The book by Dr. Susan David from Harvard, where we acknowledge our emotions, is very important. Then increase group attendance and retention, and enhance self-efficacy and resilience as a result. So these are some of the quantitative outcomes of group therapy. On the qualitative impact, we can see or we have experienced renewed life, renewed hope, renewed feeling of belonging. The sense of belongingness helps a lot. Empathy and shared healing stories. So that's why Toastmasters has given us that avenue for healing as well. We may not know it, but it's helping us heal. Growth in faith, purpose, and also our community. And most and above all is our transformation from our very own experiences. We have gone through all that, and we can see the transformations such that we want to be of help to others. That's where we are coming from our own experience of hurt to helping others to transformation. It helps us to move our movement from me, thinking of ourselves alone, thinking of myself, and then moving on to help others. So we move from me to we. So we go through transformation ourselves from isolation to our community and moving on towards a holistic life together such that we can empower each other and heal together, and we can be strengthened and we grow together. Next, please. Here we see the framework in group therapy. I just simplified it for us to have an imagination on how it will be done in the next 12 sessions or overall. And if you need some more, others would go further. But first and foremost, what is needed is the establishment of safety. We often say Toastmaster is a safe place to make a mistake, but sometimes our newcomers don't feel that way if our evaluations are not as generous or embracing them and helping them to grow. So we need to establish that safety and trust to begin with. Without safety and trust, we cannot really be a healing community. Remember the theory of Erickson, the 8 stages of development? We start off with a trust versus mistrust. So if at the beginning, when a new Toastmaster come into our session and we fail to gain their trust and there is a mistrust, it's difficult for them to move on. So it's really establishment of that rapport that is needed in group therapy. Then we move on to sharing and validation of each other's experiences. What is needed there? It's simple. It's simple as listening. Because many times we fail to listen. Why? Because we think of what we want to share next. Sometimes we are preoccupied with our own problems and we don't take time to listen. And we know that the other person in our therapy group would just need to be listened, to be heard, to be felt, and to be touched. From there, we move on to skill building. How do we facilitate? And how do we empower? Again, the secret is listening. You cannot pick up the other person's feelings without listening with your ear and your heart. It has a need for listening, both with our ears and our hearts, for us to develop the skill of drawing out from that person to share what she wants to share. That is important. The skill does not emanate from a technological skills that we learn in computers. The skill emanates from our hearts, from our minds, from our whole being, such that we will be able to empower each other. We empower the members of the group for therapy. We empower those who are present. So feel the presence of each one. And what do we give as in return? We give the gift of our presence. Making another person feel that he is present, felt, seen, and heard. We move on to integration and growth. And that's how the group therapy framework moves. Next, please. So then we reflect. Do you have a group that you are with? To take time some of our reflections. We don't need to be experiencing PTSD for us to go through group therapy. I think it is important for us to go through it for our own growth, for shared vulnerability and trust, for healing as a correct collective journey, and that we integrate each other's faith, psychology, and community, and enhance self-efficacy and resilience. With that, we can leave a legacy, empowered voices, guiding future therapy, sustained networks, support and mentorship, global expansion of voices of resilience. Online presenters, you could do this. You could emanate, you could be the place where it will be a source of global expansion of voices of resilience for us to heal together and leave a legacy. Next. So if we do that, we are grateful for each other. Heartfelt thanks to all our participants, to all my mentors and facilitators, to everyone who is present today. I really thank you for this privilege to be able to share nuggets of wisdom from the experiences I have had in the past. And thank you so much that together we can take this journey of healing and we will move on. Movement, as Alison said, we move from where we are today, from me to we, and that we can rise together and experience such resilience, innovation, and for us to sustain our growth and embrace each other towards empowerment. May every day be an experience of light for others. Thank you very much.
Yes, well, thank you very much for this, Febe. That's really, really excellent, heartfelt presentation. If you could read the comments and after your presentation, you will see what participants been saying about that, how important what you presented was for them.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you.
Again, well, thank you very much for sharing your experience. And I
Thank
believe people can get in touch with you directly. Is this right? If they have personal questions, for example.
Yes, please. Thank you. I'm not able to read because I'm using a phone, but if the chat could be saved and you can leave your email address, I can keep in touch with you. Thank you very much.
I understand. Thank you, Faber. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, it's been, so far, I think it's been really interesting learning journey that we from so far 22 of us, it was 26 people watching from the beginning, undergone together a journey that would, I hope, would help us to deal not only with our mental health, but will help us to prosper in life, be happier, and make people surrounding us happy as well. Moving on to the next parts of the meeting, we had table topics or talking stick therapy. Because of the time constraints, anyone who are willing to stay a little bit longer after the meeting, I hope that Ali and our table topics master for today, who was Annie, could facilitate that therapeutical session. I'm gonna stay. Yeah, I think I certainly do. But in the meantime, I would like to ask my very important helper, who has been keeping an eye on the chat today, is Annie Martin, to give us a brief report on what she's been listening, seeing, smelling, feeling, hearing in the chat.
Thank you very much, Andre. The chat has been fascinating today. It really has. It started with what countries we came from to establish us as we are an international club. Dr. Andy Byrne, as always, a plethora of documents to educate us and to expand our thinking about all kinds of issues relating to mental health. So many supportive comments, many comments commending Phoebe on her presentation, as you will see when she has a look through. I loved Andrew's talking, and Dr. Andrew Byrne talking about the chief happiness officer he had in a Toastmasters Club. Who has that? It's wonderful. You never know we could do that. There was a wonderful cartoon from Ali, happiness quote from Dr. Sunny about John Lennon. That is worth having a look at. You must save the chat. If you're not sure how to go and save the chat, open your chat and there's 3 dots up where it says Online Presenters Personal Meeting, save chat, and you can have a look at your leisure. I suggest that you do. Also, some great information from Carrie Kong and generally profound comments and honest comments, but ultimately uplifting comments about mental health. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Annie, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, guests, I would love to continue asking more questions and learning more and being curious about different experience from all around the world. At the same time, as we know in Toastmasters time, is crucial. We got to stay within the time frames. And just to ask Annie, would you be able to facilitate that talking stick for people who, yes, excellent. So I think we're probably going to wrap up the official part of the meeting, but anyone is welcome to stay for a chat with Annie, with our panelists and guests. You are encouraged to do so. It's a bit more informal, but we're not going anywhere. We're going to stay in the same format. But to summarize the meeting, I would like to place on the screen this quote from Dalai Lama. Each morning, when I open my eyes, I say to myself, I, not events, have the power to make me happy or unhappy today. I can choose which it shall be. Yesterday is dead. Tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. I have just one day, today, and I'm going to be happy in it. With these words from Dalai Lama, I would like to pass this virtual gavel, to our club president, Johnny Laidlaw. Johnny, it's all yours.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking us through such a fabulous education feature. With that, I am going to call the meeting adjourned, but just to say, we'll still have our talking stick, but you know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, guess what? What happens in Vegas stays here between us, because it will not be recorded, but our guest comments will.